Elias Thorne stood on the edge of the alien ruins, his boots crunching on the cracked stone. The wind of the dying planet whipped around him, carrying a faint metallic smell. The sky was a deep red, and the two suns of this small system hung low, casting long, twisted shadows over the broken towers. He had never seen anything like it. These ruins were ancient, older than any human record. They belonged to a species that had vanished thousands of years ago, leaving behind nothing but strange carvings, enormous statues, and an alien language no one could read. The other humans on the expedition were busy examining the ruins with machines and scanners, trying to make sense of it. The alien symbols were carved deep into walls, etched into smooth black stone that looked like glass. Elias had watched them work for days. No AI translator, no supercomputer, no alien linguist visiting from another galaxy had managed to crack the language. It was like staring at a puzzle with missing pieces. Yet something about it fascinated him. Elias crouched closer to a panel covered in swirling lines and shapes. He traced them with his fingers, feeling the grooves and trying to understand the rhythm. Most of the humans had given up on touch. They relied on machines. But Elias believed that some things could not be learned by technology alone. Some things needed patience, observation, and a mind willing to notice the small details. "Captain Thorne, are you still poking at those stones?" One of his colleagues, Dr. Lyra, called from a few meters away. Her voice carried a mixture of frustration and amusement. "You know nothing will come of it. We've been here for weeks and no one has even understood a word." Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe the problem isn't the stones, it's how we are looking at them," he said softly. He did not explain further. Some things, he thought, had to be discovered alone. He stayed late into the alien night, when the ruins were quiet except for the strange, low hum that seemed to come from the stones themselves. It was subtle, almost like a vibration under the skin. He studied one large panel that seemed to depict a star, lines connecting strange symbols around it. Most humans saw only decoration, but Elias noticed a pattern. The shapes repeated in a way that looked deliberate, almost like counting. The aliens had written something and it had a rhythm like music. He made sketches in his notebook, noting every line, curve, and swirl. He compared one symbol to another, trying to see a connection. It was slow work, exhausting and often frustrating. He almost gave up several times, but some part of him refused. He had a feeling, a deep, unshakable certainty, that he could understand it if he just kept looking. Other humans left the ruins at night to sleep, their suits glowing softly in the dark. The alien sky was so strange and silent it made Elias feel small, yet alive in a way he had never felt before. The stars seemed closer here. He whispered to himself, "I can read you. I just need time." The first breakthrough came unexpectedly. He noticed that a group of symbols repeated across several panels. It was subtle and anyone else might have ignored it, but to Elias, it was like a light in the dark. He ran his fingers over them again and compared them to the sketches he had made. Slowly, a small understanding began to form in his mind. This symbol, he thought, could mean beginning or light. It made sense in the context of the pattern, and the rhythm of the symbols seemed to tell a story. His heart raced. Could it be possible that he was starting to understand? That a human, alone among advanced alien civilizations, could decipher a language they had failed to read for centuries? He felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. If he was right, this discovery could change everything, not just for humans but for the entire galaxy. The next morning he shared a part of his findings with Dr. Lyra. She frowned at his sketches. "Elias, these are just guesses. You can't claim to read a language from a few shapes." "I know," he said calmly. "But look at the pattern. Doesn't it feel deliberate? Like someone wanted this to be read." She studied it carefully, and for the first time, her expression changed from doubt to curiosity. "It might be something. But even if you're right, it's only the first step. There's so much more." Elias nodded. He knew the work ahead would be immense. But something inside him felt unstoppable. He felt the thrill of a challenge that no one else could solve. He felt human. And in that feeling he found courage. As the alien suns rose, casting a strange pink light over the ruins, Elias traced the symbols again. He whispered almost to himself, "I will understand you. I will speak your language." Somewhere deep in the ruins, the stones seemed to hum a little louder. Elias did not know if it was real or imagined, but he did not care. He had found a spark, a way into the minds of an ancient, vanished race. And that spark, small as it was, could change the course of history. Elias Thorne spent the next several days alone in the ruins. While the other humans relied on scanners and holographic translators, he studied the alien symbols by hand. Every line, Every curve, every swirl mattered. To him, the shapes were not just decoration, they were a language, a story waiting to be told. He could feel it in his bones. At night, when the alien sun set and the sky turned a dark, almost purple color, he sat cross-legged on the cold stone floor, sketching symbols in his notebook. The ruins were silent except for the occasional wind and the soft hum that seemed to come from the stone panels. Most of the human team had retreated to their base by then. Elias liked it that way. Alone he could think. Alone he could notice what others could not. He traced patterns across different panels, connecting symbols that seemed similar. Slowly, small meanings began to form in his mind. One symbol, repeated in several places, seemed to represent movement or direction. Another looked like it represented light. He compared them, tried combinations, and sometimes in the quiet he whispered guesses out loud. Begin, light, life. But progress was frustratingly slow. Some days he would stare at a panel for hours and feel like he understood nothing at all. Sometimes he would make mistakes, reading a symbol incorrectly, only to erase it and try again. Yet even when he felt defeated he could not stop. Something inside him refused to give up. He felt alive in the challenge, sharper than he had ever felt before. One afternoon, Dr. Lyra approached him. She had noticed his obsession, his late nights, and the stacks of sketches piling up in front of him. "Elias, you need to rest," she said, trying to sound kind but firm. "You're wearing yourself out. None of this proves anything. Maybe it's time to let the computers handle it." Elias looked up at her, tired but determined. "I can feel it, Lyra. I can understand it. This isn't something a computer can solve. It's more than code. It's life. Someone wanted this to be understood." She shook her head. "Life? Elias, it's just symbols." He smiled faintly, almost sadly. "Not to me. Not if you look closely." That night, as the alien moons rose and painted the ruins in pale silver light, Elias returned to his work. He focused on a single wall that had been ignored by the team. The symbols were strange, jagged lines mixed with smooth curves, almost like a rhythm hidden in stone. He ran his fingers over the shapes, feeling the small grooves. It was tiring, almost painful, but he sensed a pattern forming in his mind. Suddenly something clicked. A sequence of symbols repeated in a way he had not noticed before. It was subtle, almost invisible, but there it was. He traced the sequence in his notebook, comparing it with the sketches from other panels. His heart began to race. Felt right. He whispered to himself, this is the key. Elias began translating slowly, writing down the symbols as letters or words. The first line was simple, a greeting, a phrase meant to be understood by any intelligent being who came after. It wasn't much, but it proved something incredible. He had made the first step. He had read what no other species could. The next morning he shared his work with Dr. Lyra. She studied the notes, her eyes widening. "Elias, it's something. But it could be wrong. A mistake in translation could be dangerous." He nodded. "I know. That's why I will keep going. But this proves one thing, we can understand them. We just need patience." Word of his progress spread quietly among the team. Some humans were skeptical, some impressed, but most kept their distance. The aliens on the expedition, sent as observers, looked on silently. Elias felt their eyes, curious but cautious. They had never seen a human decipher anything so complex so quickly. They had spent centuries trying to understand it, yet one human was already ahead. Days turned into weeks. Elias worked tirelessly, piecing together phrases and sentences. He noticed patterns that indicated instructions, messages, even warnings. The alien language was not just symbols, it was logic, emotion, and thought encoded in stone. He began to see hints of their history, their culture, and their fears. But with understanding came danger. Some of the alien symbols hinted at cosmic events, forces that the humans did not yet comprehend. Elias realized that their study was not just academic, it was urgent. If interpreted correctly, it could save lives. If ignored, it could doom them. Late one night, Elias leaned back against the cold stone wall, exhausted. His hands were raw, his eyes strained, yet he felt a surge of pride and determination. He was doing what no other human or alien had done before. He was reading the unreadable. He whispered softly, almost to the ruins themselves, "I will understand you. I will not fail." The stones seemed to hum faintly as if responding. Elias did not know if it was real or imagined, but he did not care. He had taken the first real step into the minds of an ancient civilization. And he knew, deep down, that one human could make a difference where centuries of alien knowledge had failed. Elias Thorne sat cross-legged in front of a huge wall panel, his notebook open on the stone floor. The alien symbol stretched across it like a vast map, twisting and turning in ways no human had ever seen before. He had deciphered small sections, phrases here and there, but today felt different. There was something in the rhythm, the way the shapes repeated, that pulled at him like a hidden voice. He ran his fingers over the grooves, tracing lines carefully. Slowly, patterns began to make sense. It wasn't just words, it was meaning, instruction, warning. He held his breath as he read the first sentence he could fully understand. The cycle approaches. Prepare or vanish. Elias's heart pounded. The message was clear even in these simple words. Some great danger, something no one had predicted, was coming. He looked around the ruins. The humans were busy cataloging artifacts as usual, unaware of the urgency hidden in the alien script. The alien observers, silent and tall, watched him with narrowed eyes, sensing he was uncovering something important. He continued to translate, piece by piece. The next line told of a natural phenomenon, a cosmic shift that would hit this part of the galaxy within decades. Other species had noticed hints, but none had fully understood. They had misread the symbols or assumed they were stories or decoration. Elias knew this was no story. He could feel the urgency in the flow of the writing, in the way the symbols seemed almost alive. Captain Thorne, Dr. Lyra called, her voice tense. You've been at that wall for hours. What are you reading? Is it dangerous? Elias didn't look up immediately. His mind was racing, connecting one symbol to another, making sense of sentences that spoke of survival and loss. It's a warning, he said finally. A cosmic event. They predicted it centuries ago. And they left instructions. If we follow them, we might survive. Dr. Lyra's eyes widened. You mean, this is not just history? This is practical knowledge? Survival knowledge? Yes, Elias whispered. And no one else, no computer, no alien scholar, understood it? Until now. Word spread quickly among the expedition team. Some humans were excited, others skeptical. The alien observers became restless. They had spent millennia studying these ruins, and yet a single human, untrained in alien methods, had done what their entire species could not. Pride and doubt warred on their faces. Elias, though, felt only focus. He could not stop now. As he translated further, Elias found something extraordinary. The alien message included methods of harnessing energy from the dying suns, instructions for stabilizing fragile ecosystems, and warnings about materials that could cause destruction if mishandled. Every detail was precise, almost like the aliens had known someone would eventually read this. He realized the alien civilization had been preparing for centuries. They had left their knowledge behind not as a monument, but as a lifeline. The realization struck him. They trusted someone to read this, he murmured. They trusted someone who could understand without centuries of study. Night fell over the ruins. The alien moons cast silver shadows, and Elias worked under dim light. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. If he made a mistake, lives could be lost. But he also felt exhilaration. One human had become the bridge between the dead and the living, between knowledge lost and knowledge regained. Dr. Lyra returned with a small team, carefully examining his translations. Elias, if this is correct, this knowledge could save not just us but entire planets, she said, awe in her voice. Do you realize what you're holding? He nodded, though he did not smile. The work was not done. The real challenge was ahead. Reading the language was only the first step. Implementing its instructions, guiding the human and alien teams, and making the choices the aliens had trusted them to make. That was the true test. The alien observers stepped closer, their faces unreadable. One of them, taller than the others, spoke in their strange, melodic voice, translated by the ship's system. You, a human, understand what we could not. Why? Elias looked at him steadily. Because sometimes understanding is not just about knowledge. It's about seeing, noticing, and daring to try when everyone else gives up. A silence followed. Then the aliens nodded, slowly acknowledging that this human had succeeded where they had failed. There was respect, grudging but real, and something else. A recognition that humanity's potential was not measured by machines or technology, but by courage, curiosity, and determination. Elias continued to work through the night. The message from the ancient civilization unfolded like a story and a guide at the same time. It spoke of survival strategies, cosmic phenomena, and subtle energy flows. The humans took notes, the aliens watched, and Elias felt a strange pride, knowing that one person had made a difference. By dawn, he had translated enough to understand the first set of instructions. A method to stabilize a planetary system that was about to collapse. It required precise coordination, human ingenuity, and trust between species. Failure would mean destruction. Success could mean life, not just for humans but for the aliens and others who might depend on this knowledge. Elias leaned back, exhausted but alert. He had read what no one else could. He had uncovered the message hidden in the language that baffled centuries of scholars. But he knew the hardest part was yet to come, putting that knowledge into action. And he was ready. He whispered quietly to himself, almost a promise. If they could leave this for someone to find, then I will make sure it is used. Humanity will not fail. The alien ruins were quiet, but the air felt heavy with urgency. Elias Thorne stood at the center of the Great Hall, surrounded by human scientists and alien observers. The translations he had made revealed the approach of a cosmic catastrophe, a planetary collapse that could wipe out entire civilizations. Time was running out and every second mattered. Elias studied the alien diagrams once more. The instructions were precise but complicated, involving energy channels, planetary alignments, and devices he had never seen before. The aliens had left it all behind, but their systems were fragile, designed for species with long lifespans and perfect precision. Humans were not supposed to understand, let alone implement it. But Elias had read the message. He knew what had to be done. Listen, Elias said to the team, his voice firm, cutting through the quiet. These devices, they are unstable. We cannot just follow instructions blindly. We have to think, adapt, and act quickly. One mistake and the planet could be destroyed. The humans nodded, though fear flickered in their eyes. The alien observers, tall and elegant, tilted their heads in surprise. No human had ever spoken with such confidence in the face of danger to their species. Elias's calm courage seemed to carry a strange power. Even the aliens began to pay attention. He moved to the first device, a massive panel filled with glowing symbols. These energy conduits, he explained, pointing, must be activated in a sequence. But the rhythm they wrote is too fast for any AI to process correctly. We will have to do it manually. The human team hesitated. Working with alien technology was dangerous. One wrong touch could trigger a catastrophic release of energy. Elias's fingers hovered over the symbols, but he did not falter. We don't have a choice, he said. This is what they intended for us to do. Let's begin. Hours passed. Elias directed the humans, translating the alien instructions into simple, human actions. The devices hummed, sometimes faltering, sparks flying as energy channels overloaded. One assistant cried out, but Elias remained steady, guiding them to adjust, to adapt, to keep trying. The alien observers watched silently. Some shook their heads in disbelief. They had never seen a human act with such intuition, reacting instantly to variables they could only calculate mathematically. Elias moved like a conductor, orchestrating human hands, human minds, human courage into a symphony of survival. Then came the critical moment. One of the energy conduits began to fail, threatening to collapse entirely. Elias saw the symbols flash red. He realized that the aliens' design assumed perfect alignment, a level of precision humans could not achieve. For a heartbeat, he froze, thinking of the consequences. And then instinct took over. Elias adjusted the sequence manually, ignoring the panel's warnings, relying on pattern recognition and human judgment. The conduit stabilized. A wave of energy pulsed across the room, but it flowed correctly this time as the symbols had intended. The aliens gasped. One of them, taller than the rest, whispered to another, "This, human, he understands instinctively." Elias did not pause. Another device required coordination across multiple stations. The humans worked in tandem, following his guidance, moving faster than they thought possible. Sweat ran down their faces, but Elias kept them focused, reminding them of what was at stake. Hours turned into a tense night. The ruins seemed alive with energy, humming and vibrating as the human and alien team worked together. Every mistake brought sparks, every success brought small relief. Elias felt exhaustion claw at his body, but he could not stop. Failure was not an option. Humanity had been trusted with this knowledge, and he would not let it slip away. Finally, the last panel activated. A low hum filled the hall, rising to a crescendo. Energy spread across the planet, stabilizing the failing systems. The alien observers' eyes widened in disbelief. They had studied these devices for centuries, and yet it took a single human to bring them to life. Elias collapsed to one knee, breathing heavily, but a small smile appeared on his face. Around him, humans cheered quietly, amazed at what they had accomplished. The aliens, silent for a moment, began nodding, some even bowing slightly in respect. "You saved it," one of the tallest alien observers said finally. We could not. Only a human could. Elias looked up, exhausted but proud. It wasn't just me, he said. It was all of us, humans and aliens. We just had to have courage to try. The alien observer tilted his head, as if seeing humanity in a new light. Courage, yes. Instinct, understanding. You are remarkable. Elias nodded silently. The planet was safe for now. But he knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself capable of more than anyone imagined. Where others saw impossible odds, humans could act, adapt, and survive. Where technology failed, human intuition and courage succeeded. As the first pale light of the alien dawn touched the ruins, Elias looked around at the team. They were tired, dirty, but alive. He felt a surge of pride, not just in himself but in the species he represented. Humans were small in the galaxy, fragile in body, limited in time, but they had something no other species could claim. A spark of brilliance that could change the course of history. Elias whispered softly to himself, almost a vow. We will endure. We will survive. And one day the galaxy will know what humans are capable of. The ruins were quiet now. The alien devices had stabilized the planet, and the immediate danger had passed. Elias Thorne walked slowly among the stones, his body sore, his mind still buzzing from the long hours of work. The humans around him were exhausted but alive, and the aliens watched them with a mixture of awe and curiosity. For the first time, humanity had proven itself not just capable of surviving in the galaxy, but of changing it. Elias paused at the wall panel where it had all begun. The symbols were silent now, etched into stone like a frozen song. He traced a finger over the lines and curves, remembering the first night he had touched them. No computer, no alien scholar, no centuries of study had been able to read this language. But one human had. One human had dared to look, to understand, and to act. Dr. Lyra came up beside him, her eyes bright despite exhaustion. Elias, she said quietly, you've changed everything. We've all changed. No one will ever see humans the same way again. He smiled faintly. We didn't just read the language. We used it. We survived because we tried when others thought it was impossible. The alien observers approached, their tall forms casting long shadows in the pale light of the dying suns. One of them, taller than the rest, stepped forward. Its voice, soft and melodic, was translated by the human systems. Human, you have done what no other species could. You understand instinct, intuition, courage, unlike any of us. Elias nodded. It's not just me. It's what humans do. We see patterns others miss. We try even when the odds are against us. We adapt. We survive. The alien observer tilted its head as if seeing Elias for the first time. You carry the spark of life, the spark of hope, that we have forgotten. Elias felt a quiet pride. Humanity had always been underestimated in the galaxy, small, fragile, often dismissed by older, stronger species. Yet here they were, humans and aliens working together, alive because a human had dared to read what others could not. That was the power of humanity, courage, curiosity, and the will to act. As the day wore on, Elias oversaw the collection of alien knowledge. The devices would be studied carefully, systems would be rebuilt, and the cosmic threat would be monitored. But he knew something more important had happened. Humanity had proven its worth, not through brute force or advanced technology, but through something intangible, brilliance, perseverance, and courage. He walked to the edge of the ruins, looking out over the planet below. The colors were strange and beautiful, emerald oceans streaked with silver, skies glowing with twin suns. Life, fragile and resilient, was still here. And it would continue because humans had acted when others could not. Dr. Lyra joined him, handing him a cup of water. Do you think they'll remember us? She asked. Elias took a sip and smiled faintly. They won't just remember us. They'll respect us. The aliens, the civilizations watching from afar, they'll see that humans are not weak, not fragile. We're capable of incredible things. And one day when they face challenges no one else can solve, they will hope a human is there. Around them the team worked quietly. Some were cataloging artifacts, some repairing devices, some speaking with the aliens. The air was filled with a strange sense of accomplishment, a shared pride between species that had never truly trusted one another before. And at the center of it all was humanity, small but unstoppable. Elias turned back to the Great Hall. The symbols on the wall seemed less intimidating now. They were not a puzzle, not a mystery to be feared. They were a story, a guide, a testament to the power of one intelligent being daring to try. That one human had changed the outcome. That one human had given life a chance to survive where it could have been lost forever. He thought of the countless humans who had come before him, the explorers, the thinkers, the dreamers. They had faced challenges no one believed they could overcome. And now he added his name to that list, not as a hero seeking fame, but as a human who refused to give up when the stakes were higher than anyone could imagine. The aliens approached once more. The tallest observer spoke again. "You are worthy of the legacy left behind. You have honored it." Elias nodded. "We will continue to honor it. Not for glory, not for pride, but because it is the right thing to do. Life is worth saving, and humans will act when others hesitate." The ruins were silent again. The alien warnings, the language that had baffled civilizations, were now understood. The knowledge would survive, passed on by humans and shared with others. Humanity had bridged the gap between the past and the present, between extinction and survival, between the impossible and the possible. Elias looked up at the sky, the twin suns glowing softly, and whispered to himself almost as a vow, "We are humans. We endure. We adapt. We survive. And one day the galaxy will know that we are capable of more than anyone ever imagined." And for the first time in centuries, it felt as though the ancient civilization had smiled, their message fulfilled, their trust honored. One human had read what was unreadable, understood what was forgotten, and in doing so, reminded the galaxy why humanity mattered.